She wants to connect with you. Text Sarah now at 403-974-8255. Connect with Sarah Crosbie on QR Calgary.
All right, so water restrictions started today. Roads are being dug up in Bowness. Work starts very, very, very soon. And it feels a little bit like we're back where it all started. Here to talk the water main repair and what's ahead for the next few weeks. Welcome back to the show, Tricia Stadnyk, professor and Canada Research Chair in Hydraulic Modeling with the Schulich School of Engineering at the University of Calgary, a.k.a. our water expert, is back. Welcome to the show again, Tricia.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I think that people did not truly sort of put it in the back of their brains again that today was the day, because I saw a lot of sprinklers going hard today.
Yeah, it's like the ostrich in the sand, right? Sticking your arm in the sand. If I can't see it, it's not happening. We're officially on stage 4 water restrictions today, even though construction doesn't actually officially begin until tomorrow.
So for people who are kind of following along, can you just give the Tricia Stadnyk synopsis of how we got to this point where we're doing new water restrictions again on August 26th?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was the initial break and the initial repair, and even at that time, they had examined a small section of the pipe as they had opened it up and found a couple of other sites. As we know, in total, there ended up being 6 repair sites. But they kind of always said, we're going to have to do some longer-term checking of the pipe. And, of course, they installed the new pipe diver technology. This is essentially a little robot that scans the pipe from the inside. And while we've gone back to using water, it's been doing its thing, running up and down that pipe and taking a look at it from the inside out. And they had identified another few sections, 21, I believe, that needed some immediate repair before winter. And so they put a plan in place, and that, of course, means, once again, opening up this feeder main, which means that we can't use Bear's Paw to its full capacity because we have to shut off the water.
So a lot of people want to know if this is truly the best way forward, and if doing all these little fixes here and fixes there are more of Band-Aid solutions, and if we should just be full out right now replacing all of this so that we're not back here in 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, whatever the timeline is.
Yeah, and that's a totally fair comment. And the answer is yes, we absolutely have to do this now. We can't run the risk of not having water supply when the river levels are low and that the water might not be there in Glenmore Reservoir to support Bear's Paw being offline. The Bow River flows more than the Elbow, and if the Elbow River isn't there to fill up the reservoir, then we're in a very precarious position. So constructing new pipelines takes time, particularly a feeder of this size that's carrying something that can actually make us sick, drinking water. We have to make sure that we're very careful about how we construct that pipe and that it's safe for drinking. And look, the city hasn't taken redundancy off the table. And so even if we go to the phase of constructing a new pipe, we would still have to fix this one so that it's redundant to the new one. So either way, repairs have to happen.
And what is the difference between the first round of water restrictions and this round of water restrictions? Because, for example, they're not going to shut down arenas this time. And so ring-up players, hockey players, figure skaters, showering. So why are we in the same let's fix this, but the water restrictions aren't identical?
Because we learned a lot about our consumptive habits, or rather the city did, and they're a little more confident in terms of the supply that they can meet. And it's not an emergency situation. They've been able to plan for this. I was taking a look at the flow data just before this call, and, Glenmore Reservoir is topped right up to the max right now. They made sure that was nice and full coming into this, so we have a good, stable water supply right now. We're not just coming off the backs of a drought, and the temperatures are starting to dip. So all of these things make the city a little more confident that we're going to be able to meet that 450 million liter a day target, more so than we could back in June.
But that still means when we're in stage 4 water restrictions that no, you can't run your sprinkler because you think, look, it's just me. I'm just going to do it for like 20 minutes. But that's taking place in Cranston, Mahogany, Silver Springs, Valley Ridge. Like if everyone is just doing it for 20 minutes, we'll have a problem.
Yeah, well, look, I kind of have a problem with sprinkler use anyway. We shouldn't have lawns here. Grass is not native, and it's just a waste of water either way you look at it, whether you're on water restrictions or not. Grass is meant to go dormant, right? And especially at this time of year. So whether it's because of cold temperatures or whether it's because of the lack of water, it's okay to let that grass go brown at this point. So we want to be shutting off those sprinklers if they're not tapped into a non-potable water supply. So as an example, I came on to University of Calgary campus this morning. They were running their sprinklers in an area that they'd just done construction and planted some new grass. But I happen to know that they are not using potable water, and there are signs up telling people that. It's not coming from our water supply, it's coming directly from the river.
Which is a thing, right? As soon as people see other water use, there is the other side that is sending freaking out notes, and it may not be city water. So other things, grass is being laid, sod is being done, and all these things are happening, but it might not be the city's water that is the concern.
Correct. And the city has once again set up the river water supply stations. So for non-potable water use for businesses, particularly those in landscaping, we've got those 3 locations set up again where there's non-potable water pickup. So just because you see businesses using water, don't necessarily jump to the conclusion that it is potable water because they might be using the non-potable supply the city has made available.
Or as we started to call it before we were all water experts, the portable water, because we thought we were taking it from one place to another.
Well, that too, right?
Also, I think the question that people want to know but also are sort of terrified to hear the answer is, now that the roads are coming up on 33rd Ave, more chance that they're going to say, okay, you know what, we thought it was 16. Now it's actually 21. And now we find even more problems as this work goes on?
Yeah, I mean, that is always a possibility. That said, the pipe diver technology has done its thing, and it has gone through all these sections of pipe now. So I think that's less of a concern today as it was back in June when we were just kind of in the dark guessing at the fact that there would be other hotspots just because of this catastrophic failure and the stress that put on the rest of the pipe. Now we actually have some data. And I think the engineers have looked at that data pretty critically. And I think they would have warned us if there were other potential sites. That said, no technology is ever perfect. So we can't rule out the possibility that there are some more surprises that are going to happen.
And what about the fact that we are going into very different life schedules in the next couple of days with kids going back to school? Does having schools of hundreds or 1,000 plus kids all at the same place, all flushing the toilets, is that a factor in how water is going to work over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks?
Yeah, I'm sorry to any of the janitors out there. You couldn't pay me enough to be a janitor in an elementary school when I'm on the radio saying, if it's brown, flush it down. If it's yellow, let it mellow. Because I can just see how the kids are going to take that to the nth degree. But, yes, it presents a concern. And as well as people aren't on vacation anymore. So in theory, more people are home and in the city. Whereas before, we definitely had a certain percentage of the population that was going on vacation, camping, out of the city, that kind of thing. So our return to normal habits, our return to being at home and being in the workplace or schools means that we have less control over toilet flushing, particularly if it's automatic flushing, which just means that we really need to double down on those other water-saving tips and when we're at home. We really need to try to hit that 3 less flushes a day per person, and I'm pretty confident that most of us are at home in the mornings and the evenings long enough that, we can achieve that, as well as limiting the showers to 3 minutes or less and running laundry and dishwashers only when necessary and only when full.
I will say this, Tricia Stadnyk. Some of us have learned, like I did used to let my water run as I was washing dishes. And that is one of the little things that has stayed in my brain of put a little bit of water in the bowl, wash it, then put that water in the next bowl. So habits have changed. And if we all can just get on board to the end of September, the city will be fine.
Absolutely. And, this is all really, these are all really great lessons for the future, too. We live in an area that doesn't have a ton of water. These are all things that are going to come up whenever we're in a drought scenario, too. So it's good practice for us all to get used to water-saving habits.
Well, thank you for joining us as always. I say our water expert. That is Tricia Stadnyk from the Schulich School of Engineering at the University of Calgary. Thank you so much for your time again, Tricia.
My pleasure.